Section 1 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. Section 1. A Spring Song. The world has got me snouted just a treat. Cruel fortune's dirty laughter smote me soul, and all them joys of life I held so sweet is up the pole. For as the poet says, me heart has got the pip with yearnin' for I don't know what. I'm crook, me name is Mud, I've done me dash, me flamin' spirit's got the flamin' hump. I'm longin' to let loose on somethin' rash. Oh, I'm a chump. I know it, but this blimed old springtime craze fair outs me on these dilly silly days. The young green leaves is shootin' on the trees, the air is like a long cool swig of beer, the bonza smell of flowers is on the breeze, and here's me here, just moochin' round like some poor balmy coot, of hope and joy and fortune destitute. I've lost me former joy in gettin' chic, or headin' browns. I haven't got the heart to word a tom and squarin' all. I'm sick of that cheap tart who chucks her carcass at a fella's head and mauls him. Ah, I wish that I was dead. There's little breezes stirrin' in the leaves, and sparrows chirpin' high the whole day long, and on the air a sad sweet music breathes, a bonza song, a mournful sort of tune that gets a bloke fair in the brisket ear and makes him choke. What is the matter with me? I don't know. I got a sort of yearnin' here inside, a dead crook sort of thing that won't let go or be denied, a feelin' like I want to do a break and stoush creation for some woman's sake. The little birds is chirpin' in the nest, the parks and gardens is a Bosca sight, where smilin' tarts walks up and down all dressed in clobber white, and as their snowy forms go steppin' by, it seems I'm seekin' somethin' on the sly. Something or someone, I don't rightly know, but seems to me I'm kind of lookin' for a tart I knew 100 years ago, or maybe more. What's this I've heard 'em call that thing? Gee whiz. Me ideal bit of skirt, that's what it is. Me ideal tart, and blimey look at me. Just take a squiz at this and tell me can some square and honest Tom take this to be her own true man? Ah, God, I'd be as true to her I would, and straight and steady as... Ah, what's the good? Me that has done me stretch for Stoush and Johns, and spends me leisure gettin' on the shick, and half me nights down there in Little Lon, with Ginger Mick, just headin' 'em and doin' in me guilt. Tough luck, I suppose it's how a man is built. It's how God builds a bloke, but don't it hurt when he gets yearnin' for this higher life on these spring mornin's, watchin' some sweet skirt, some future wife, go sailin' by and turnin' on his phiz, the glassy eye for bein' what he is. I've watched 'em walkin' in the gardens here, cliners from offices and shops and such, the sort of skirts I dursn't come too near or dare to touch. And when I see the kind of looks they cast, gosh, truth, what is the use of me, I ask? What was I slung here for, and what's the good of yearnin' after any ideal tart? Ah, if a bloke was only understood, he's got a heart. He's got a soul inside him, poor or rich, but what's the use when heaven's cruelty's pitch? I tells meself some day I'll take a pull and look around for some good steady job and cut the push for good and all. I'm full of that crook mob. And in some spring the future holds in store, I'll cop me prize and long in vain no more. The little winds is stirrin' in the trees, where little birds is chantin' lovers' lays, the music of the soft and balmy breeze. Oh, spare me days! If this here dilly feelin' doesn't stop, I'll lose me block and stoush some flamin' cop. End of section 1. Recording by Son of the Exiles.
How do you find this book? Any thoughts about the book or the author? Any suggestion for improvement? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in a comment. If you like it, share it with your friends who might enjoy it as well. Subscribe to keep in touch. Visit CompleteAudiobooks.com for more quality content.
Section 2 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Section 2. The Intro. Her name's Doreen. Well, spare me bloomin' days. You could have knocked me down with half a brick. Yes, me that kids meself, I know their ways, and has a name for smoogin' in our clique. I just lines up and tips the saucy wink, but strike, the way she piled on dog, you'd think a bloke was givin' back chat to the Queen. Her name's Doreen. I seen her in the market first of all, inspectin' brums at Steeny Isaac's stall. I backs me barrow in the same old way, and says, "What-o, it's been a bonza day. How is it for a walk?" Oh, holy wars, the sort of look she gimme just because I tried to chat her like you'd make a start with any tart. And I can take me oath I was polite, and never said no word that wasn't right, and never tried to maul her or to do a thing you might call crook. To tell you true, I didn't seem to have the nerve. With her, I felt as if I couldn't go that far and start to sling off shy act like I used. Not introduced. Next time I sighted her in Little Burke, when she was in a job, I found her lurk. Was pastin' labels in a pickle joint, a game that, anyhow, that ain't the point. Once more I tried to chat her in the street, but blimey, did she turn me down a treat. The way she tossed her head and swished her skirt, oh, it was dirt. A squarer Tom, I swear, I'd never seen in all me natural than this here Doreen. It weren't no guyver neither, for I knew that any other bloke had Buckleys too. Tried for to pick her up, yes, she was square. She just sailed by and left me standin' there. Like any mug, thinks I, I'm out of luck, and done a duck. Well, I don't know, it's that way with a bloke. If she'd have breasted up to me and spoke, I'd thought her just a common bit of fluff, and then forgot about her like enough. It's just like this, the tarts that's hard to get makes you all hot to chase 'em, and to let the cove called Cupid get an hammerlock and lose your block. I know a bloke who knows a bloke who toils in that same pickle foundry. He boils the cabbage stalks or something. Anyway, I gives me pal the office for to say he has a sister in the trade who's been out of a job and wants to meet Doreen. Then we can get an intro if with luck, he says right buck. Of course we work the oracle, you bet. But, struth, I ain't recovered from it yet. 'Twas on a Saturday in Collins Street, and quite by accident, of course, we meet. Me pal, he trots her up and does the toff. He always was a bloke for showin' off. "This here's Doreen," he says. "This here's the kid." I dips me lid. "This here's Doreen," he says. I says g'day. And blimey, I had nothin' more to say. I couldn't speak a word or meet her eye. Clean done me block. I never been so shy. Not since I was a tiny little cub and run the rabbit to the corner pub. What time the summer days was dry and hot for me old pot. Me that has barracked tarts and talked and laughed and chucked off at 'em like a phonograph. Gosh, 'struth, I seem to lose me power of speech. But her, oh, strike me pink, she is a peach. The sweetest in the barra, spare me days. I can't describe that Clina's winnin' ways. The way she talks, her lips, her eyes, her hair. Oh, gimme air. I dunno how I done it in the end. I recollect I asked to be her friend and tried to play at Andy's in the park. A thing she wouldn't sight. Ah, it's a nark. I gotta swear when I think what a mug I must have seemed to her, but still I hug that promise that she give me for the beach, the bonzer peach. Now, as the poet says, the days drag by on leaden feet. I wish they'd do a guy. I dunno how I had the nerve to speak and make that meet with her for Sunday week. But strike, it's funny what a bloke'll do when he's all out. She's gone when I come to. I'm yappin' to me cobber of me mash. I've done me dash. Her name's Doreen, and me that thought I knew the ways of tarts and all that smoogin' game. And so I ought, for ain't I known a few? Yet somehow, I dunno, it ain't the same. I can't tell what it is, but all I know, I'll drop me bundle, and I'm glad it's so. For when I come to think of what I've been, her name's Doreen. End of section 2. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Section 3 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Section 3. Doreen. I wish you meant it, Bill. Oh, how me heart went out to her that evening on the beach. I knew she weren't no ordinary tart, my little peach. I tell you, square and all, me heart stood still to hear her say, I wish you meant it, Bill. To hear her voice, its gentle sort of tone, like soft dream music of some dago band, and me all out and holdin' in me own her little hand. And how she blushed, oh, strike, it was divine, the way she raised her shinin' eyes to mine. Her eyes, soft in the moon, such boshed her eyes. And when they sight a bloke, oh, spare me days, he goes all loose inside. Such glamour lies in her sweet gaze. It makes him all ashamed of what he's been, to look into the eyes of my Doreen. The wet sands glistened and the gleamin' moon shone yeller on the sea, all streakin' down. A band was playin' some soft dreamy tune, and up the town we heard the distant tram cars whir and clash, and there I told her how I'd done me dash. I wish you meant it, 'struth, and did I fair? A bloke'd be a dog to kid a skirt like her, and me well knowin' she was square. It'd be dirt. He'd be no man to point with her and kid. I meant it honest, and she knew I did. She knew I've done me block in on her straight. A cove has got to think sometime in life and get some decent tart ere it's too late to be his wife. But God, who'd have thought it could have been my luck to strike the likes of her, Doreen? Oh, I can stand their chucking off, I can. It's hard, and I'd delight to take 'em on. The dogs, but it gets that way with a man. When he's fair gone, she'll sight no stoush, and so I have to take their mag and do a duck for her sweet sake. For her sweet sake I've gone and chucked it clean, the pubs and schools and all that leery game. For when a bloke has come to know Doreen, it ain't the same. There's higher things, she says, for blokes to do, and I am half believin' that it's true. Yes, higher things. That was the way she spoke, and when she looked at me I sort of felt that bosker feelin' that comes o'er a bloke, and makes him melt. Makes him all lot to maul her and to shove his arms about her. Blimey, but it's love. That's what it is, and when a man has grown like that he gets a sort of yearn inside to be a little hero on his own, and see the pride glow in the eyes of her he calls his queen, and hear her say he is a shine champion. I wish you meant it, I can hear it yet. My bit of fluff, the moon was shinin' bright, turnin' the waves all yellow where it set. A bonza night, the sparklin' sea all sort of gold and green, and on the pier the band, oh hell, Doreen! End of section 3. Section 4 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Section 4. The Play. What's in a name, she says, and then she sighs, and clasps her little hands and rolls her eyes. A rose, she says, be any other name, would smell the same. Oh, wherefore art you Romeo, young sir? Chuck your old pot and change your moniker. Doreen and me, we been to see a show, the swell $2 touch bon ton, you know. A chair apiece with velvet on the seat, a slap-up treat. The drama's writ be Shakespeare years ago, about a balmy goat called Romeo. Lady beyond the moon, I swear, says he, and then he climbs up on the balcony, and there they smooge a treat with pretty words, like two lovebirds. I nudge Doreen, she whispers, ain't it grand? Her eyes is shinin', and I squeeze her hand. What's in a name, she says. 'Struth, I dunno. Billow is just as good as Romeo. She may be Julia or Juliet. He loves her yet. If she's the tart he wants, then she's his queen. Names never count, but I like Doreen. A sweeter, dearer sound I never heard. There's music hangs about that little word. Doreen. But what was this I starts to say about the play? I'm off me beat, but when a bloke's in love, his thoughts turns her way, like an omen dove. This Romeo, he's lurkin' with a crew, a dead tough crowd of crooks called Montague. His cliners push what's nicknamed Capulet. They has 'em set. Fair narks they are, just like them backstreet cliques, except they fights with skewers 'stead of bricks. What's in a name? What's in a string of words? They scraps in old Verona with their swords, and never gives a bloke a stray dog's chance. And that's romance. But when they deals it out with bricks and boots, in Little Lon, they're low, degraded brutes. What's just plain stoush with us right here today is valour, if you're far enough away. Sometime some writer bloke will do the trick with Ginger Mick of Spadger's Lane. He'll be a Romeo when he's been dead 500 years or so. Fair Juliet, she gives her boy the tip, Says she, don't sling that crowd of mine no lip, and if you run again and Capulet, just do a get. He swears he's done with lash, he'll chuck it clean, same as I done when I first met Doreen. They smooched some more at that, oh, strike me blue. It give me chose to sit and watch them two. He'd break away and start to say goodbye, and then she'd sigh, "Oh, Romeo," and get a strangle holt, and hang around him like she feared he'd bolt. Next day he words a gospel cove about a secret wedding, and they plan it out. He spouts a piece about how he's bewitched, then they get itched. Now here's the place where I forget the pip. She's his for keeps, and yet he lets her slip. Ah, but he makes me sick a fair gazob. He's just the glassy on the soulful sob. He'll sigh and spruik and howl a lovesick vow, the silly cow. But when he's got her spliced and on the straight, he cruels the pitch and tries to kid its fate. Ah, fate me foot, instead of sloping soon, as he was wed off on his honeymoon, him and his cobber called Mick Curio, they have to go and mix it with that push of Capulets. They look for trouble, and it's what they gets. A tug named Tyball, cousin to the skirt, sprags 'em and makes a start to sling off dirt. Next minute there's a real old ding-dong go. Half round or so. Mick Curio, he gets it in the neck. "Ah, rats," he says, and passes in his cheque. Quite natural Romeo gets wet as hell. "It's me or you," he howls, and with a yell plunks Tyball through the gizzard with his sword. How I encored. "Put in the boot," I says, "put in the boot." "Hush," says Doreen. "Shame," says some silly coot. Then Romeo, he dunno what to do. The cops gets busy, like they always do, and nose around until he gets blue funk, and does a bunk. They wants his tart to wed some other guy. "Oh, strike," she says, "I wish that I could die." Now this here gospel bloke's a fair shrewd head. Says he, "I'll dope you so they'll think you're dead." I tips he was a cunnin' sort what knew a thing or two. She takes his knockout drops up in her room. They think she's snuffed and plant her in her tomb. Then things gets mixed a treat and starts to whirl. Here's Romeo come back and finds his girl tucked in her little coffin, cold and stiff, and in a jiff he swallows Lysol, throws a fancy fit, head over turkey, and his soul is flit. Then Juliet wakes up and sees him there, turns on the waterworks and tears her hair. "Dear love," she says, "I cannot live alone." And with a moan she grabs his pocket knife and ends her cares. "Peanuts or lollies?" says a boy upstairs.
End of section 4. Section 5 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Section 5.
The Stror At Coot. Ah, women, what a blinded fool I've been. I asks meself, what else could I expect? I've done me block complete on this Doreen, and now me heart is broke, me life's a wreck. The dreams I dream, the dilly thoughts I thunk, is up the pole, and joy has done a bunk. Women, oh strike, I ought to know their game. Their tricks is crook, their arts is all dead snide. The old world over tarts is all the same, all soft and smilin' with no heart inside. But she fair doped me with her winnin' ways, then crooled me pitch for all me mortal days. They're all the same. A bloke has got to be strict master if he wants to snare 'em sure. He has to take a stand and let 'em see that triflin' is a thing he won't endure. He wants to show 'em that he holds command, so they will smooge and feed out of his hand. He needs to make 'em feel he is the boss, and kids he's careless of the joys they give. He has to make 'em think he'll feel no loss to part with any tart he's trackin' with. That all their pretty ways is crook pretence is plain to any bloke with common sense. But when the birds is nestin' in the spring, and when the soft green leaves is in the bud, he drops his bundle to some fluffy thing. He pays her homage, and his name is Mud. She plays with him and kids him on a treat, until she has him crawlin' at her feet. And then when he's fair off his top with love, and she has got him good and had her fun, she slings him over like a cast-off glove to let the other tarts see what she's done. All vanity, deceit and artless kid. I oughter known, and spare me days, I did. I knew, but when I looked into her eyes, them shinin' eyes of blue all soft with love, with mimic love, they seemed to hypnotise. I was content to place her high above. I was content to make of her a queen, and so she seemed them days. Oh, 'struth, Doreen! I knew, but when I stroked her glossy hair, with reverent hands, her cheek pressed close to mine, me lonely life seemed robbed of all its care. I dreamed me dreams, and hope begun to shine. And when she held her lips for me to kiss, oh, what's the use? I'm done with all of this. Women, I ain't jealous, spare me days. Me jealous of a knock-kneed coot like that. Him with his cute straw hat and pretty ways. I'd be a mug to squeal or whip the cat. I'm glad I am, glad 'cause I know I'm free. There ain't no call to talk of jealousy. I tells meself I'm well out of the game, for look, I might have married her, and then... Oh, strike! Her voice was music when me name was on her lips of them glad evenin's when we used to meet, and then to think she'd go. No, I ain't jealous, but, oh, I don't know. I took a derry on this Stror At Coot, first time I seen him dodgin' round Doreen. Him with his giddy tie and Yankee suit, forever yappin' like a talk machine about the hoffice where he had a grip. The way he smiled at her gave me the pip. She says I stoushed him when I promised fair to chuck it, even to a friendly spar. Stoushed him! I never roughed his pretty hair. I only spanked him gentle for his ma. If I had jabbed him once, there would have been an inquest, and I says so to Doreen. I might have took and cracked him in the street when she was with him there last Friday night. But don't I keep me temper when we meet, and don't I raise me lid and act polite? I only jerks me elbow in his ribs to give the gentle office to his nibs. Stoushed him! I owns I met him on the quiet, and worded him about a small affair, and when he won't put up his hands to fight, he says for public brawls he didn't care. I lays him cross me knee, the mother's joy, and smacks him hearty like a naughty boy. And now Doreen, she says I've broke me vow, and mags about this coot's poor wounded pride. And then, of course, we has a ding-dong row, with hot and stormy words on either side. She says I done it out of jealousy, and so we parts forever, her and me. Me jealous of that cross-eyed cow. I set him 'cause I couldn't sight his face. His yappin' fair got on me nerves somehow. I couldn't stand him hangin' round her place. A coot like that. But it don't matter much. She's welcome to him, if she fancies such. I swear I'll never track with her no more. I'll never look on her side of the street, unless she comes and begs me pardon for them things she said to me in angry heat. She can't expect for me to smooge and crawl. I ain't at any woman's beck and call. Women, I've took a tumble to their game. I've got the whole bang tribe of cliners set. The whole world over, they are all the same. Crook to the core, the bunch of 'em. And yet, we could have been that happy, her and me. But what's it matter? Ain't I glad I'm free? A bloke with common sense has got to own there's little happiness in married life. The smoogin' game is better left alone, for tarts is few that makes the ideal wife, and them's the sort that loves without disguise, and thinks the sun shines in their husband's eyes. But when the birds is matin' in the spring, and when the tender leaves begin to bud, a feeling comes, a dilly sort of thing, that seems to sort of swamp him like a flood. And when the fever here inside him burns, then freedom ain't the thing for what he yearns. But I have chucked it all, and yet, I own, I dreams me dreams when soft spring breezes stirs. And often, when I'm moonin' here alone, a lispin' maid with hair and eyes like hers, who calls me Dad, she climbs upon me knee, and yaps her pretty baby talk to me. I sort of see a little house, it seems, with someone waitin' for me at the gate. Ah, where's the sense in dreamin' balmy dreams? I've dreamed before and nearly woke too late. Such happiness could never last for long. We're strangers, lest she owns that she was wrong. To call her back, I'll never lift a hand. She'll never hear from me by word or sign. Perhaps some day she'll come to understand the mess she's made of this here life of mine. Oh, I ain't much to look at, I admit, but him, the knock-kneed swivel-eyed misfit.
End of section 5. Section 6 of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Son of the Exiles. Section 6. The Siren. She sung a song, and I sat silent there, with both hands grippin' hard onto me chair. Me heart that yesterday I thought was broke, with humpin' such a heavy load of care, come swellin' in me throat like I would choke. I felt hot blushes climbin' to me hair. 'Twas like that feelin' when the spring wind breathes sad music in the softly rustlin' leaves, and when a bloke sits down and starts to chew crook thoughts without quite knowin' why he grieves for things he's done he didn't oughter do, fair winded with the heavy sighs he heaves. She sung a song, and all at once I seen the kind of cruel and heartless brute I'd been. In every word I read it like a book, the slander game I've played with my Doreen. I heard it in her song and in her look. I seen what made me feel fair rotten mean. Poor her Doreen, me tender bit of fluff. Ah, men don't understand, they're far too rough. Their ways is far too coarse with lovin' tarts. They never gives 'em sympathy enough. They treats 'em harsh, they tramples on their hearts, because their own cruel hearts is leather tough. She sung a song, and all them bitter things that chewin' over lovers' quarrels brings give place to thoughts of sorrow and remorse, like when some dilly punter goes and slings his last lone diner on some stiffened horse, and learns them vain regrets what hurts and stings. 'Twas at a beano where I lobs along to drown them memories of fancied wrong. I swear I never knew that she'd be there, but when I met her eye, oh, 'struth 'twas strong.
'Twas bitter strong, that jolt of dull despair, her look o' scorn, and then she sung a song. The tune was one o' them sad, mournful things that catch you in the bellows ear and brings tears to your eyes. The words was of a tart who's trackin' with a silly coot who slings her love aside and breaks her tender heart. But 'twasn't that, it was the way she sings. To hear her voice, a bloke 'ud be a log who kept his block. Me mind was in a fog, a sorrow for to think how I was wrong. Ah, I have been a fair ungrateful hog. The feeling that she put into that song 'ud melt the heartstrings of a china dog. I listens with me heart up in me throat. I drunk in every word and every note. Tears trembles in her voice when she tells how that tart snuffed out because he never wrote. And then I seen how I was like that cow. With sudden shame me guilty soul was smote. Doreen, she never looked my way, but stood, half turned away, and beefed it out real good, until she sang that bit about the grave. Too late he learned he had misunderstood. And then, gostruth, the pleadin' look she gave, fair in me face, 'ud melt a heart o' wood. I dunno how I seen that evening through. They must have thought I was half shick, I knew. But I had hurt Doreen without no call. I seen me duty, what I had to do. Oh, strike, I could have blubbed before 'em all. But I sat tight and never cracked a boo. And when at last the tarts they make a rise, a lop-eared coot with hair down to his eyes, he looks on to Doreen and starts to roam for home and mother. I lines up and cries, "Hands off! I'm seein' this here Kleiner home." And then we left him, gapin' with surprise. She never spoke, she never said no word, but walked beside me like she'd never heard. I swallows hard and starts to coax and plead. I says I'm dead ashamed of what's occurred. She don't reply, she never takes no heed, just stares before her like a startled bird. I tells her never can no other tart be half what she is if we have to part. I tells her that me life will be a wreck. It ain't no go, but when I makes a start to walk away, her arms is round me neck. "Oh, kid," she sobs, "you nearly broke me heart." I dunno what I done or what I said, but 'struth, I'll not forget it till I'm dead. That night when out back in me brisket lobs, how my Doreen, she lays her little head down on me shoulder here and sobs, and all the lights get sort of blurred and red. Say, square and all, it don't seem right somehow to say such things, but what I'm feelin' now has come at times, I s'pose, to other men, when you have had a real old ding-dong row. Say, ain't it bonzer makin' up again? Straight wire, it's almost worth... Ah, I'm a cow. To think I'd ever seek to harm her hair. Of her dear head again, my oath I swear. No more I'll roust on her in angry heat, but still she never seemed to me so fair. She never was so tender or so sweet as when we smooged beneath the lamplight there. She's never been so lovin' with her gaze, so gentle with her pretty women's ways. I tells her she's me queen, me angel too. "Oh, no, I ain't no angel, kid," she says. "I'm just a woman, and I loves you true, and so I'll love you all me mortal days." She sung a song, here in me balmy style. I sets all tarts, for in me hour o' trial me soul was withered be a woman's frown, and broodin' care came roostin' on me dial. She sung a song, me heart with woe cast down was raised to heaven be a woman's smile.
End of section 6. Recording by Son of the exiles. End of Bill and Doreen's Courtship. Selections from the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by Clarence James Dennis.